Hey guys, welcome to episode number 601. Today is Wednesday, so it's DIY Wednesday, and today I'm going to share with you how to drill a glass aquarium in under 5 minutes. I know that drilling a glass aquarium may be something that you're a little frightened to do, but I promise you it's really easy. And the thicker the glass, the easier it is. You can see we already have a bulkhead installed behind me. I'll show you exactly how to do that in this week's video. But before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you want to help support this channel, you can always go check out myaquariumbox.com and betaoasis.com. Alright guys, a couple safety notes before we get started and go outside. You're going to want to wear safety glasses or just glasses because we're going to be working around glass and glass shards, and we're also going to need a drill. And I prefer to use the cordless drills with the battery because we're going to be working around electricity and water, and we don't want those things to mix. Also, we are using a diamond hole saw in our drill, and so what you want to make sure you do before you get started is set your drill to number 1. It's the lowest torque rating on your drill. That means if anything gets stuck, you're not going to have too much torque in the drill and chip or crack your tank. You can see I can hold on to that bit with 2 fingers and nothing will go bad. So make sure you have all of those things. Let's head outside. So come along with me and learn how to be a better aquarist. Alright guys, so we have everything set up to drill our glass aquarium. It's very important to make sure before you drill the tank that you know that it is non-tempered glass. There's no way to drill a tempered tank. So this is the Zoomed 50-gallon Lowboy tank. It's only 10 inches tall, but we still want to drill an overflow hole into it, and this is non-tempered glass. It's actually really thick glass as well, so this might take a little while, but I wanted to walk through the setup here so you could see how I'm going to drill this tank. First off, we have a 50-gallon Lowboy, 50-gallon stock tank down below to catch all of the glass dust and debris and anything like that. We got a couple boards and some styrofoam, which is holding our tank in place. We have a cloth or a rag in the bottom there to catch our circle of glass that's going to fall out the bottom of this hole once we've drilled it. And then we've got our template here. And what I've done is I just took a square piece of board, scrap board material, and I drilled a hole in it. And basically I started with the size bulkhead that I'm going to use. This is a 1-inch bulkhead. Made sure that I wasn't going to hit the trim on the top, made sure I wasn't going to hit the sidewall on the side, and then I took the appropriate hole saw for wood. This is really important. This is not for glass, this is for wood. Took the hole saw for wood. This is a 1 3/4 inch bit, which is the size hole that we need to drill for our template here, our wood template. So I drilled a hole through the wood with this wood bit, 1 3/4 inch hole, and then from there we can take our glass hole saw here, which has the diamond coating on it, and that fits nice and secure inside this hole. And that's going to help us to make that pilot hole. It's going to help us make sure that this goes in straight and flat and flush, so that we don't get any problems when we're actually drilling the glass. Now, it's important also that when you start a hole like this, that you're at least 2 inches from the sides of the glass. That's recommended to make sure that you don't crack your glass, because if there's any stress, if there's any fractures or anything when you're cutting this hole, if you're too close to the side of the glass, it's going to end up cracking all the way to the edge, and then you've completely ruined your tank. Another thing you want to watch out for is going too hard. If you're pushing down while you're drilling, you're going to bust out on the inside. You're going to bust out, so you're going to get chipping
on the inside when you drill. So what you want to do is take a cordless drill, set it to its lowest setting here. I'm on 1, and then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure it's in flush and flat against the glass, so you're drilling flat through the glass. You don't want to be off to an angle. If you see any videos where people start on an angle and then they go flat, don't do that. It's not worth it. You're going to just mess things up, and you're going to skate all over the glass and make a mess. This is much easier to use a template and make sure that you're going in straight, and it makes it easy. The other thing you want is a hose. We're going to use a little bit of a trickle of water here to make sure that this hole is full of water, to make sure that the bit stays cool. These diamond coated bits, this one's actually a really cheap one, and I'm probably only going to drill a couple holes with it before I toss it. But as soon as this heats up, the epoxy that's holding those diamond chips on there falls apart, and then the diamonds fall off, and then you're just drilling metal against glass, and that doesn't work. So you want to make sure this stays cool. It's going to prolong the life of your drill bit here, your glass hole saw, and that's a good thing. So we've taped this template in place, flush and square against the side of this tank. We've got 2 inches from the top, 2 inches from the side. We've got the hole drilled so that it fits this bit exactly. We got our water. The only other things you might want to do is, once you have the hole started, you can remove the template if you want, and what I would recommend doing is creating a dam around it with plumber's putty. That allows you to create like a water area, a dam of water, so that it keeps that bit cool. You can do that if you want. The other tool that I've used in the past is this Drill-X drill guide, which works really well. Essentially, you stick your drill bit in between these rotating wheels, and then it just suction cups onto your glass. Unfortunately, I'm working in a really tight area here, so we're not going to use that tool this time, but it is a good tool if you're working on bigger pieces of glass. Anyways, this is the setup. Let's get drilling. Alright guys, so here is our hole. It took less than 5 minutes to drill. It was a success. It was a little messy. As you can see, here is our piece of glass. There are 2 noticeable chips, one on this side and one on this side. And if you're drilling multiple tanks, it's important to know where it's chipping so that you can correct for next time. And in my case, I probably wasn't 100% flat and square with my drill, and I was pressing a little bit harder than I should have, and that's what's going to cause that to chip on the sides as the drill bit exits the piece of glass. It's only natural, so the less pressure you put on it, the less chipping you're going to get, and the more square your drill bit is to the glass, the less chipping you're going to get. So chipping is okay, but if you have any cracks, especially if they're running, that's no good, and your tank is basically ruined. So you know, chips, as you can see, they're very light, they're very minor. It's just the very last little bit of glass that's chipped out. A crack is going to be completely through the glass, and that's going to leak, and it means that your tank is structurally no longer sound. Now, we've got our bulkhead here, and you want to make sure that your rubber gasket is on the inside of the tank. That's what's going to keep the water in the tank. So you install that there once everything is nice and clean, and then you can tighten your nut down on the outside of your tank. And there we have it. We've got one tank drilled, and we've got 11 more to go. All right, so here we are with that first test aquarium drilled with the bulkhead installed and placed temporarily on our brand new racking system that we've created. Now, you might notice in the corners we have a little piece of styrofoam. This is just to prop this tank up because we've temporarily placed it here in order to get some measurements, because we need to run a whole bunch of drain plumbing behind this stand before we go ahead and install all 12 of these tanks for real. So all of this is just in place temporarily. I needed to make sure that this hole is drilled in the same spot in every tank, so we have that wooden template, and this bulkhead is installed, the screen is installed. Most importantly, the barbed fitting on the back is also installed, so that will allow me to get all of my measurements for this one tank in this one location, and then I can apply that to all of the other tanks and all of the other locations so that I can properly cut and install all of my drain plumbing on the back side of this rack. So obviously we've got a lot to tackle, but this video is just about drilling holes in glass aquariums, and as you can see, we've got one done and in place for now.
Alright guys, and that's gonna do it for this week's video. As you can see, we've got one of our tanks behind us, sort of installed and in place. It's not full of water yet, and it won't be for probably another week or two. The next thing we need to do is just test fit all of these tanks and make sure all of our drain plumbing is run and everything connects nicely and fits nicely together. So we've obviously got a lot more tanks to drill, and that's what we'll be focusing on as well. Anyways guys, that's how to drill a tank in 5 minutes or less. It's one of those things that might be a little daunting the first time you do it, but if you have the right equipment and you set everything up correctly, plan it all out, it's not that hard, and you should feel confident in being able to successfully drill your first hole in a glass aquarium. It feels great once you have a tank drilled and a bulkhead installed, because it opens up a whole lot of new possibilities in the fish keeping world in terms of running sumps and running all kinds of extra filtration equipment on the backside or underneath your aquarium. So we're obviously in the process of building this rack out. We're gonna have a central sump system. All of that will be in the next few videos, the upcoming videos. So stick around, and you'll see all of that stuff be installed here shortly. Anyways guys, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.